If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the podcast. Chapter 1. The Dawn of Cosmic Questions. Part 1. The Hymns of Creation in the Rigveda. There was neither existence nor non-existence then. There was no realm of air, no sky beyond it. What covered it? Where was it? In whose keeping? Was there then cosmic water in depths unfathomed? There was neither death nor immortality then. There was no sign of night or of day. That one breathed windlessly and self-sustaining. There was that one then, and there was no other. At first, there was only darkness wrapped in darkness. All this was only unillumined cosmic water. That one which came to be, enclosed in nothing, arose at last, born of the power of knowledge. In the beginning, desire descended on it. Desire was the first seed of mind. Poets seeking in their heart with wisdom found the bond of existence within non-existence. Their cord was extended across. Was there below? Was there above? There were seed placers. There were powers. There was impulse beneath. There was giving forth above. Who really knows? Who will here proclaim it? Whence was it produced? Whence is this creation? The gods came afterwards, with the creation of this universe. Who then knows whence it has arisen? Whence this creation has arisen? Perhaps it formed itself, or perhaps it did not. The one who looks down on it, in the highest heaven, only he knows. Or perhaps he does not know. The ancient seers wondered about these things. They asked what existed before all things began. They asked if anything existed at all. They wondered if there was always something, or if everything came from nothing. These questions troubled their minds. They could not find simple answers. The mystery was too great for ordinary thinking. Even the wise ones admitted they did not know for certain. In those early times, the cosmic waters moved without form. There was no up or down, no here or there. Time had not begun its journey. Space had not spread its boundaries. The one breathed without breath, moving without motion. From this mystery came the first stirring. Desire arose like the first dawn. This desire was not for pleasure or gain. It was the cosmic wish to become many from one. It was the first thought in the mind of creation. The seers described this with careful words. They knew they were speaking about things beyond ordinary understanding. They used images of water and darkness, of seeds and cords, of breathing and stillness. They spoke of powers that moved in that first time. These powers placed seeds of creation. They gave impulse from below and brought forth from above. But even these powers came after the beginning, not before it. The hymn asks its questions with deep respect. It does not claim to know what cannot be known. It admits that perhaps even the highest being does not know how creation truly began. This ancient wondering shows the Hindu way of thinking. Truth is approached with questions, not just answers. Mystery is honored, not dismissed. The deepest teachings often end with greater questions than they began with. HTML, Brie. These verses remain among humanity's earliest philosophical poems. They combine worship with wonder, devotion with doubt, certainty with sacred uncertainty. Part 2. The concept of Urta, the cosmic order. From the earliest verses, the ancient seers spoke of Urta, the great order that holds all things in their proper place. This word means both truth and cosmic law, for in the beginning, the sages saw no difference between what is real and what is right. Urta moves the sun across the sky each day and brings it back each dawn. Urta turns the seasons in their endless wheel, bringing rain when the earth thirsts and harvest when the grain is ready. The stars follow their paths because Urta guides them. The moon grows full and fades because Urta commands this rhythm. But Urta is not only the law of outer things. It lives within the hearts of all beings. When humans speak truth, they follow Urta. When they keep their promises, they serve Urta. When they offer gifts to the gods with pure hearts, they strengthen Urta. When they treat others with justice, they become one with Urta. The fire on the altar burns according to Urta. The prayers of the priests rise to the gods through Urta. The gods themselves must obey Urta, for it's greater than any single divine being. Even Varuna, the guardian of cosmic law, serves this higher order. Even Indra, the mighty storm god, cannot break its commands. The ancient hymns teach that Urta existed before creation itself. When the world began, Urta was already there, ready to guide the forming of all things. It set the boundaries between sky and earth. It arranged the waters above and below. It placed the sun and moon in their courses. It gave each thing its nature and purpose. Those who live in harmony with Urta find peace and prosperity. Their crops grow well. Their children are healthy. Their words carry power. The gods bless their offerings and hear their prayers. But those who oppose Urta face darkness and confusion. Their deeds bring suffering. Their lies are exposed. Their path leads away from truth and towards sorrow. The wise know that Urta cannot be seen with eyes or touched with hands, yet it is more real than any physical thing. It is the invisible thread that weaves together all existence. Without Urta, the world would fall apart. The sun would not rise. The rivers would not flow. Justice would vanish. Truth would die. In later times, the teachers would speak more often of Dharma, the righteous way of living. But Dharma grew from the ancient root of Urta. Both words point to the same eternal reality. The universe is not random or chaotic, but ordered by sacred law that connects the movement of planets with the choices of human hearts. This cosmic order shows that reality itself is sacred. Truth is not merely useful, but holy. Law is not merely human, but divine. The ancient seers saw that understanding reality meant learning to live in rhythm with the eternal principles that govern both the outer cosmos and the inner world of consciousness. Part 3. Devas and Manifest Reality. The ancient seers looked upon the world and saw that divine forces moved through every aspect of reality. They did not separate the sacred from the material world. Instead, they recognized that the gods were the very powers that shaped and sustained existence. Indra ruled the mighty storms that brought life-giving rain to the earth. When thunder roared across the sky and lightning split the darkness, this was Indra's presence made visible. The storm was not merely weather, but the active force of divinity working through nature. Farmers who watched dark clouds gather knew they witnessed the god himself preparing to bless their fields. Agni burned as the sacred fire in every hearth and temple. He was not distant from the flames that cooked food and provided warmth. Agni was the fire itself, the transforming power that changed raw grain into nourishing bread, that carried offerings from earth to heaven. Every flame was his body, every spark his breath. Varuna maintained the cosmic order that kept the universe stable. He watched over moral law and natural law with equal care. The regular rising and setting of stars, the faithful return of seasons, the binding power of oaths and promises, all these were Varuna's work. He did not govern from some far realm, but expressed himself through the very structure of reality. Surya blazed as the sun that gave life to all creation. His golden chariot crossed the heavens each day, bringing light that awakened flowers, warmed the earth, and made vision possible. The sun was not merely a celestial body, but Surya himself, the generous god who shared his radiance without asking for payment. These divine beings were not separate from the natural forces they represented. Fire was Agni, storm was Indra, sun was Surya. The distinction between God and natural phenomenon did not exist in the minds of the ancient seers. This understanding meant that all of reality pulsed with divine presence. To light a fire was to invite Agni. To plant seeds before the monsoon was to trust in Indra's generosity. To greet the dawn was to honor Surya's daily gift of light. The worship of many gods was not confusion or primitive thinking. It was a way of recognizing that divine power expressed itself through countless forms and forces. Each god represented one face of the sacred reality that moved through all existence. The seers understood that reality was not dead matter moved by blind forces. Everything that happened in the world was the activity of conscious divine powers. The gods were not rulers of reality, but reality itself in its divine aspects. Through devotion to these divine forces, people learned to live in harmony with the powers that shaped their lives. This created a sacred relationship with the natural world and established the foundation for understanding reality as fundamentally divine in nature. Part 4. The Nasadiya Sukta and the Mystery of Being. In the beginning, there was neither being nor non-being. There was no realm of air, no sky beyond it. What covered it? Where was it? In whose keeping? Was there water, bottomless deep? There was neither death nor immortality then. There was no distinguishing sign of night or day. That one breathed windlessly by its own impulse. Other than that, there was nothing beyond. Darkness was hidden by darkness in the beginning. With no distinguishing sign, all this was water. The life force that was covered with emptiness, that one arose through the power of heat. Desire came upon that one in the beginning. This was the first seed of mind. Poets, seeking in their heart with wisdom, found the bond of existence in non-existence. Their cord was extended across. Was there below? Was there above? There were seed placers, there were powers, there was impulse beneath, there was giving forth above. Who really knows? Who will here proclaim it? From where was it produced? From where is this creation? The gods came afterwards, with the creation of this universe. Who then knows from where it has arisen? From where this creation has arisen? Whether he founded it or did not, he who surveys it in the highest heaven, he surely knows, or perhaps he knows not. This ancient psalm from the Rigveda shows how the earliest seers faced the deepest question of all existence. They looked beyond the world of forms and asked what came before everything that we can see or understand. The hymn does not give easy answers. Instead, it admits that the mystery of existence goes beyond what any mind can grasp. Even the gods, who came after creation, cannot know the ultimate source. The one who watches over all creation, from the highest place, might know the answer, or perhaps even that one does not know. This honest questioning became central to how Hindu thought approaches reality. The ancient seers did not claim to have all the answers about existence. They recognized that some truths remain beyond human understanding, no matter how deeply we search. The hymn speaks of a time before time when the usual categories of existence did not apply. There was no space, no sky, no water, no light, no darkness as we know them. Only that one existed, breathing without air, moving without wind. From this mysterious source came the first stirring of desire, the first movement toward creation. But the hymn maintains its humble stance, acknowledging that the ultimate origin remains unknown and perhaps unknowable. This early wisdom shaped how later Hindu teachings would approach the deepest questions about reality, always maintaining space for mystery and wonder. Chapter 2. The Upanishadic Revolution, Part 1. From Ritual to Knowledge. In the time that followed the great fire sacrifices and chanted prayers, wise men began to walk a different path. They turned away from the outer world of rituals and looked within themselves. The sacred fire that once burned on altars was now found burning in the heart. The gods that were once called with loud voices were now met in the silence of deep thinking. These sages left their homes and went to the forests. They sat under trees and by flowing rivers. They asked questions that had never been asked before. What is the self? What lies beyond what the eyes can see? What is the truth that remains when all else passes away? The old ways said that offerings of grain and butter would bring good things. The old ways said that speaking the right words would please the gods. But these forest dwellers found something different. They found that the real treasure was not outside, but inside. They found that the real God was not far away, but closer than breath itself. One sage sat with his student and said, "My child, you have learned all the sacred texts. You can speak the prayers perfectly. But tell me, do you know that by knowing which everything else is known?" The student was puzzled. He had studied for years, but did not understand this question. The sage continued, "There are two kinds of knowledge. One is the knowledge of words and books and rituals. The other is the knowledge of that which cannot be spoken or written. The first kind fills the mind with many things. The second kind shows that all things are one." Another teacher took his student to a quiet place and said, "Close your eyes. Stop thinking about the world outside. Look inside and tell me what you find." The student looked within and said, "I find thoughts coming and going. I find feelings rising and falling." The teacher said, "Look deeper. Who sees these thoughts? Who feels these feelings?" The student looked again and said, "There is something that watches but cannot be watched. There is something that knows but cannot be known like other things." This was the great change in understanding. The real was not found in things that could be touched or seen. The real was the one who touched and saw. The real was not found in experiences that came and went. The real was the one who experienced but never changed. The sages learned that consciousness itself was the answer to all questions. Not the things that appeared in consciousness, but consciousness itself. Like space that holds all objects but is not any object. Like light that shows all colors but is not any color. This turning inward changed everything. It was no longer enough to perform the right actions. One had to know the right knowledge. It was no longer enough to please the gods outside. One had to find the God within. The path to truth became a path of looking within, of questioning deeply, of going beyond what the senses could show. Part 2. Atman and Brahman, the Great Identity. Atman and Brahman, the Great Identity. The wise teachers gathered their students and spoke of the greatest secret. They said there is something inside every person that never dies, never changes, never grows old. This is called Atman. It is your true self, not your body, not your thoughts, not your feelings. It is the pure awareness that watches everything. The teachers also spoke of Brahman, the one reality that is everything. Not the many things we see, but the one source of all things. Like the ocean is one, though it has many waves. Like space is one, though it contains many objects. This Brahman is pure being, pure consciousness, pure joy. Then came the greatest teaching of all. A student asked his teacher, "What is this Brahman that you speak of? Where can I find it?" The teacher smiled and said, "You are looking everywhere except where it is. You are that." Atman and Brahman are one. Your true self and the cosmic reality are the same. The student was confused. How can I, this small person, be the infinite reality? The teacher explained with examples. Take a piece of salt and put it in water. The salt disappears, but the water becomes salty everywhere. In the same way, your individual self seems separate, but it is really the one consciousness appearing as many. Look at this tree, the teacher continued. Its essence is in the tiny seed, invisible but real. Break the seed open and you cannot see the essence, yet without it, there would be no tree. In the same way, your essence is Brahman itself, the invisible reality that makes everything possible. Another teacher told his student, "You think you are the body that moves, the mind that thinks, the senses that see and hear. But who knows that the body moves? Who watches the mind think? Who is aware of what the senses report? That knower, that witness, that awareness itself, that is who you really are. And that awareness is not different from the awareness that is everything." The The students learned through careful thinking and quiet sitting. They were taught to ask, "Who am I?" Not "What am I?" but "Who?" They looked past their name, their family, their work, their likes and dislikes. They looked past their memories and hopes. What remained when all of this was set aside? What remained was pure knowing, simple being, peaceful awareness. This awareness was not created and could not be destroyed. It was not born and would not die. It was the same in the ant and the elephant, in the student and the teacher, in the earth and the stars. The teacher said this knowledge changes everything. When you know your true self, fear disappears. Death becomes meaningless because what you really are was never born. Suffering ends because you are not the small person who suffers. You are the infinite being in which all persons appear and disappear. This was the great identity that the wise ones taught. Not that you become Brahman, but that you have always been Brahman. Not that you reach the absolute, but that you are the absolute. The wave discovering it was always the ocean. The space in the jar discovering it was always the same space everywhere. Part 3. Maya, the veil of illusion. The wise ones who searched deep within themselves discovered something strange. The world that appears so solid and real to the eyes and senses is like a dream. What we see, touch, and experience every day covers up the true reality, like a thick cloth covers the light. This covering power is called Maya. Maya is not evil or wrong. It is the mysterious force that makes the one appear as many. It makes the eternal seem to change. It makes the infinite look small and limited. Maya is why you see yourself as separate from others, when the truth is that all is one. Think of how in dreams, you see many people and places. You feel joy and fear. You think everything is real while dreaming. Only when you wake up do you know it was all appearance in your one mind. Maya works the same way in waking life. All the different things you see are appearances in the one Brahman. Maya explains why people suffer. When you think you are only the body and mind, you fear death. When you believe you are separate from others, you feel lonely. When you think things will make you happy, you keep wanting more. All this happens because Maya makes you forget your true nature. The rope in dim light looks like a snake. This makes you afraid even though no snake exists. In the same way, Brahman appears as this world of many things. This makes you think you are small and limited, even though you are infinite consciousness itself. Maya has two powers. One power hides the truth. It makes you forget you are Brahman. The other power projects false appearance. It makes you see the world of names and forms, where only one reality exists. Water appears to have waves, but water itself never changes. Gold appears as many ornaments, but gold remains gold. Clay appears as many pots, but clay stays clay. In the same way, Brahman appears as this world, but Brahman never becomes anything else. Maya is not separate from Brahman. It is Brahman's own power. Fire has the power to burn. Sun has the power to shine. Brahman has the power to appear as many while remaining one. This power is Maya. The world is neither completely real nor completely false. It appears real until you wake up to truth. Then you see it was always appearance in consciousness. Like the dream tiger cannot hurt the dreamer, the world cannot bind the one who knows the self. Maya ends when knowledge dawns. When you truly know, I am Brahman, the covering falls away. You see that what appeared as world was always your own self. The snake was always rope. The many were always one. This is why the sages said, knowledge alone brings freedom. Not the knowledge of books or rituals, but the direct knowing of what you are. When this knowing comes, Maya dissolves like darkness before light. Part 4. Neti, the path of negation. The sages found that truth could not be captured in words or held in the mind. When students ask, "What is Brahman?" the teachers gave a different answer. They did not say what it was. They said what it was not. This became the great teaching method called Neti, meaning not this, not that. The wise ones knew that whatever you can name, see, or think about cannot be the ultimate reality. So they guided their students by removing layer after layer of false ideas. A student would come and say, "Is Brahman the body?" The teacher would answer, Neti, not this body that grows old and dies. "Then is Brahman the mind?" asked the student. Neti, not this mind that comes and goes, that sleeps and wakes. "Is it the breath?" Neti, not this breath that starts and stops. "Is it the intelligence?" Neti, not this intelligence that knows some things and not others. The teacher kept saying no to everything the student could point to or imagine. Every form, every quality, every idea was pushed away. This was not cruelty. This was the most direct path to truth. One famous dialogue shows a student growing frustrated. "Master, you keep saying what Brahman is not, but what is it?" The teacher smiled and remained silent. In that silence, something was pointed to that words could never touch. The method worked because students learned to stop grasping. When you cannot pin down truth in any concept, the mind grows quiet. When the mind goes quiet, what remains is what was always there. This path taught that reality is not an object to be known, but the very knowing itself. It is not something you can have or get. It is what you already are when all false identities fall away. The sages used Neti to show that consciousness itself is beyond all categories. It is not male or female, not young or old, not wise or foolish. These are all appearances in consciousness. The consciousness in which they appear is untouched by any of them. Through this practice of negation, students discovered that they were not what they thought they were. They were not the roles they played, not the thoughts they thought, not the feelings they felt. All these came and went, but that which watched them all remained constant and unchanging. This is why the path of negation was considered the sharpest tool for cutting through illusion. It allowed no hiding place for the ego. It left no comfortable identity to cling to. In the end, when everything that could be negated was negated, only the eternal remained. The student who walked this path found that truth was not something distant to be reached. It was the very awareness that was looking for truth. When all seeking ended in this recognition, the method had done its work. Part 5. Tvam Asi, the equation of self and absolute. The sage Uddalaka called his son Shvetaketu to sit beside him. The young man had studied the sacred texts for many years. He knew the rituals and ceremonies. He could recite the holy verses. But his father saw that something essential was missing. "My son," Uddalaka said, "you have learned much, but do you know that by which all else is known?" Shvetaketu looked puzzled. He had memorized countless teachings. What could he not know? His father continued, "Bring me a fruit from that tree." The son brought the fruit. "Break it open," said the father. Shvetaketu broke it. "What do you see inside?" "I see many small seeds, father." "Take one seed and break it." The son did as asked. "What do you see now?" "Nothing, father. It appears empty." Uddalaka smiled. "My dear son, from that which you cannot see, this great tree grows. That invisible essence is what supports the entire tree. It is the true nature of all existence." The father picked up a bowl of water and added salt. "Put this salt in the water," he said. After the salt dissolved, he continued, "Now taste the water from this side." "It is salty," Shvetaketu replied. "Taste from the middle, taste from the other side." "It is salty everywhere, father." "You cannot see the salt, yet it fills every drop. In the same way, there is one essence that fills everything. You cannot see it." but it is present in all things. It is present in you. The sage looked into his son's eyes. That invisible essence is the self of all things. It is the true reality. It is pure being itself. He paused, letting these words settle. Then he spoke the most important teaching, Tvam asi, that thou art. These simple words changed everything. The young man was not separate from the ultimate truth he had been seeking. He was not different from the divine reality described in the scriptures. The very consciousness looking for God was itself the divine presence. When you know yourself as that eternal essence, the Father explained, all separation ends. The seeker and the sought are one. The knower and the known are one. You are not a small self trapped in a body. You are the infinite self appearing as this individual form. Shvetaketu sat in silence. The teaching was both simple and profound. He had been like a person searching for his own face while looking in a mirror. He had been seeking what he already was. Father, if I am that eternal reality, why do I not feel this truth? Because you identify with what changes. You think you are the body that ages. You think you are the mind that worries. You think you are the emotions that come and go. But you are the awareness in which all these appear. The sage continued, just as space remains unaffected whether a pot is whole or broken, you remain unchanged by what happens to the body and mind. You are the witness of all experience. You are pure consciousness itself. This teaching spread throughout the land. Students came to understand that enlightenment was not becoming something new. It was recognizing what had always been true. They were already the reality they sought. The boundary between human and divine dissolved in this understanding. Every person, every creature, every form was recognized as the one self appearing in countless ways. The wave discovered it was always the ocean. The dream figure realized it was the dreamer. This was the great equation that transformed Hindu thought. Individual and universal were two words for the same truth. Finite and infinite were different ways of seeing one reality. The seeker's journey ended where it began, in the eternal presence of pure being. Chapter 3, Epics, Dharma, and the Drama of Reality. Part 1, the Mahabharata and the Field of Dharma. The Great War began at Kurukshetra. This was not just a battle between two families. This was the place where right and wrong would meet in their final test. When Duryodhana refused to give even 5 villages to his cousins, the Pandavas, war became certain. The armies gathered like dark clouds before a storm. On one side stood the Kauravas with their 100 brothers. On the other side stood the Pandavas with their 5 princes. But this war was more than soldiers fighting. It was Dharma itself being tested. Dharma means the right way to live, the law that holds the world together. When people follow Dharma, the world stays in balance. When they break it, everything falls apart. Bhishma, the grandfather of both families, had to choose sides. He chose duty to the throne over duty to what was right. Karna, the great warrior, chose loyalty to his friend over truth. Arjuna, the best archer, faced his own teachers and relatives across the battlefield. Each choice created consequences that could not be undone. When Draupadi was shamed in the royal court, that act planted seeds of war. When Yudhishthira lost everything in a game of dice, that loss led to 13 years of exile. Every action, every word, every decision shaped what would happen next. The war lasted 18 days. Brothers killed brothers. Teachers fought against students. The rules of war were broken again and again. Even Krishna, who always spoke of Dharma, told lies to win the war for the side of right. This showed that reality is not simple. Good people sometimes do bad things. Bad people sometimes show courage. The right choice is not always clear. Life is filled with gray areas where perfect answers do not exist. On the battlefield, warriors faced impossible choices every day. Should a son kill his father in battle? Should a student shoot arrows at his teacher? Should a king break his promise to save innocent lives? These questions had no easy answers. The war ended with victory for the Pandavas, but it was a sad victory. Almost everyone was dead. The winners sat among the bodies of their loved ones and wept. They had won, but what had they really gained? This is how the Mahabharata shows us reality. Life is not a simple story with clear heroes and villains. It is a complex web where every action affects everything else. We must make choices without knowing all the results. We must act according to Dharma, even when the path is unclear. The battlefield of Kurukshetra became a symbol. It represents the field of human life where we all must fight our battles. Every day we face choices between right and wrong. Every day we must decide what kind of person we will be. The epic teaches that reality is shaped by our actions. We cannot escape the results of what we do, but we can choose to act with wisdom, courage, and compassion. This is how humans participate in the cosmic order of Dharma. Part 2. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's revelation. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, before the Great War began, Arjuna saw his relatives, teachers, and friends standing ready to fight against him. His heart filled with sorrow. He threw down his bow and arrows and refused to fight. "I cannot kill my own family," Arjuna said to Krishna, who was driving his chariot. "What good is victory if it means destroying those I love? I would rather die than fight this war." Krishna looked at his friend with compassion and began to teach him the deepest truths about reality. "You grieve for those who should not be grieved for," Krishna said. "The wise do not mourn for the living or the dead. The soul that lives in the body is eternal," Krishna explained. Just as a person puts on new clothes and throws away old ones, the soul puts on new bodies and leaves old ones behind. The soul is never born and never dies. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot make it wet. Wind cannot dry it. Weapons cannot cut it. What you see as death is not real death, Krishna continued. What you see as life is not the whole truth. The body changes, but the soul remains the same forever. This eternal soul is your true self. It is the same in all living beings. Arjuna listened as Krishna revealed 3 paths to understand reality. The first path is through right action. You must do your duty without attachment to results. Krishna taught, act because action is right, not because you want something from it. When you act without selfish desire, your actions become pure. This is called karma yoga. The second path is through love and surrender. Offer all your actions to the divine, Krishna said. See the divine presence in everything around you. Love with your whole heart. When you give yourself completely to the divine, you find peace. This is called Bhakti Yoga. The third path is through knowledge and understanding. Learn to see the difference between what is real and what is not real, Krishna explained. The body and the world around us change constantly, but the soul and the divine never change. When you truly understand this, you become free from fear and sorrow. This is called Jnana Yoga. All 3 paths lead to the same truth, Krishna said. Reality is not just what you see with your eyes. The highest reality is the eternal soul within you and the divine presence that fills everything. Dharma is the law that keeps the universe in order, Krishna taught. It is your duty to follow this law. When you act according to Dharma, you help maintain the balance of the world. Even if the path is difficult, even if others do not understand, you must do what is right. Krishna showed Arjuna that the war was necessary to restore Dharma. Sometimes we must fight to protect what is good and just, he said. Your duty as a warrior is to fight for truth and justice. Do not run away from your responsibilities. Through Krishna's teaching, Arjuna understood that reality has many layers. The physical world is real, but not the deepest truth. The soul is the deepest truth within each person. The divine is the deepest truth of everything that exists. When you know your true self, Krishna concluded, you find lasting happiness and peace. This knowledge frees you from all fear and confusion. Part 3. Purusha and Prakriti, Spirit and Matter. In the beginning, there were two great principles that gave birth to all existence. The first was called Purusha, which is pure spirit and consciousness. The second was called Prakriti, which is matter and the active force of nature. These two principles work together to create everything we see and experience. Purusha is the eternal witness. It is pure awareness that never changes. It does not act or move or create anything. It simply watches and knows. Purusha is like a bright light that shines on everything, but is never affected by what it sees. This pure spirit exists in all living beings as the true self. It cannot be born and it cannot die. It has no beginning and no end. Prakriti is the creative force. It is matter, energy, and the power that makes things happen. Prakriti is always moving and changing. It creates the earth, the sky, the wind, and all the bodies of living beings. It makes the mind think and the senses work. Everything that moves, grows, or changes comes from Prakriti. This force creates the whole physical world we live in. When Purusha and Prakriti come together, the universe begins. Purusha watches while Prakriti dances and creates. The spirit gives Prakriti the power to act, but the spirit itself remains still and unchanged. This is like the sun that makes plants grow, but is never touched by the growing plants. From their union comes all of creation. First come the basic elements like space, air, fire, water, and earth. Then come the subtle elements like the mind and intelligence. Finally come all the bodies and forms we see in the world. Every creature has both spirit and matter within them. The spirit in each being is connected to the great Purusha. It is pure and perfect. But this spirit becomes tied to matter through the body, mind, and senses. When the spirit identifies with the body, it forgets its true nature. It thinks it is born and will die. It feels pleasure and pain. It becomes caught in the cycle of birth and death. This is why reality seems to have two faces. On one side, there is the changeless spirit that is always pure and free. On the other side, there is the changing world of matter that is always moving and transforming. Both are real, but they exist on different levels. The goal of human life is to remember our true nature as spirit. We must learn to see ourselves as Purusha, not as the body or mind made of Prakriti. When we realize we are the eternal witness, we become free from suffering. We no longer identify with things that come and go. This teaching helps us understand why the world contains both permanence and change. The spirit in us is permanent, but our bodies and experiences are temporary. Both aspects make up the full picture of what exists. Through knowledge and practice, the soul can separate itself from matter and return to its original state of pure consciousness. This is the ultimate goal of spiritual life. Part 4. The Ramayana, Divine Play Lila in Action, HTML. The great epic of the Ramayana teaches us that all existence is Lila, the divine play of the Supreme Being. This holy story shows us that reality is not separate from the divine, but is the very expression of divine joy and purpose. Prince Rama was born as the perfect son of King Dasharatha. Though he was truly the Supreme Lord in human form, he lived as a man would live. He followed his duties as son, husband, and king. He faced the same struggles that all beings face. Yet through it all, he remained perfect in virtue and truth. When Rama was sent to the forest for 14 years, he accepted this exile without complaint. His wife Sita and brother Lakshmana went with him willingly. They lived simply among the trees and mountains. Even in hardship, they maintained their devotion to righteousness. This shows us that the divine does not avoid worldly experience, but enters fully into it. The demon king Ravana took Sita away by force. This created great suffering for Rama. He searched everywhere for his beloved wife. He formed friendship with Hanuman and the monkey army. Together, they fought a great war against the forces of evil. Through this struggle, we see that the divine engages with both good and evil in the world. But the Ramayana tells us this is all Lila, divine play. The Supreme Being takes on these roles not from need or compulsion, but from pure joy and love. Just as children play different games for the pleasure of playing, the divine creates and participates in the drama of existence for the sake of the play itself. When we understand our lives as part of this sacred drama, everything changes. Our duties become offerings to the divine. Our struggles become opportunities to show virtue. Our relationships become ways to express love and service. Even our sufferings become meaningful when we see them as part of the greater play. Rama showed perfect Dharma in every situation. As son, he obeyed his father completely. As husband, he protected and honored Sita. As king, he served his people with justice. As warrior, he fought only to defend the good. His life teaches us that participating in the divine play means fulfilling our role with complete devotion and righteousness. The monkey Hanuman represents perfect devotion. He served Rama with such love that he became divine himself. This shows us that when we play our part in the cosmic drama with pure devotion, we discover our own divine nature. Sita represents the soul's purity. Even when taken by evil forces, she remained untouched in her essential nature. Her story teaches us that the soul always belongs to the divine, no matter what happens to the body or mind. Through the Ramayana, we learn that reality is neither meaningless nor grim. It is the joyful expression of divine consciousness. Every being, every event, every moment is part of this sacred play. When we see life this way, we find purpose and joy even in difficult times. The epic shows us that the divine descends into human experience not to escape from the world, but to show us how to live in it perfectly. Rama's life becomes our guide for how to participate in the cosmic drama with wisdom, virtue, and love. Chapter 4. Philosophical Systems of Reality. Part 1. Advaita Vedanta. The non-dual reality of Śaṅkara. From the teachings of the Upanishads, hear these sacred words about the true nature of what exists. Listen with care to this ancient wisdom that shows the deepest truth about all things. The great teacher speaks. That which is real is one alone, without a second. What appears as many is not truly many at all. Just as gold remains gold, whether shaped into rings, chains, or vessels, so does the one reality remain one, though it appears as countless forms. The wise one who sees clearly understands this truth. I am not this body that ages and dies. I am not these thoughts that come and go. I am not separate from the eternal truth that exists always. When the mind becomes still and pure, I know myself as that which never changes, never dies, never suffers. The scripture teaches, as rivers flow into the ocean and lose their separate names, so does the individual soul merge into the supreme reality when true knowledge arises. The drop of water was never separate from the ocean, though it appeared so for a time. This world of objects and beings that we see with our eyes is like a dream. In a dream, mountains and rivers seem real, but when we wake, we know they were appearances in consciousness alone. So too is this waking world an appearance in the one consciousness that alone is real. The teacher explains, when you see gold ornaments, do you see many golds or one gold in many forms? When you see clay pots, Do you see many clays or one clay shaped differently? So when you see all beings, see the one existence appearing as all forms. The path to this knowledge is simple. Turn the mind away from seeking happiness in objects that change. Look within to find that which never changes. Meditate on the teaching, I am that eternal truth, until this knowledge becomes as natural as knowing you exist. When this understanding dawns, all fear disappears. How can there be death when you are the deathless? How can there be suffering when you are pure consciousness itself? How can there be separation when all is one? The liberated soul declares, I am the witness of all experiences but touched by none. I am the light in which all thoughts appear. I am the space in which all forms arise and dissolve. I am that I am. This is the highest teaching. Beyond all pairs of opposites, beyond coming and going, beyond birth and death, stands the one reality that you truly are. Part 2. Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita. The reality of the divine and the soul. The teacher spoke these words to those who sought truth beyond the one alone. Listen carefully, dear students. Not all sages agree that reality is one without difference. Some great teachers have seen the divine truth in other ways. Their words, too, carry sacred wisdom. The sage Madhva taught that God and the soul are always separate. He said, the Supreme Lord stands apart from all individual souls forever. This separation is not illusion, but eternal truth. The soul can never become God, nor can God become the soul. They remain distinct like the sun and its rays. In this teaching, three realities exist always: God who is supreme, individual souls who are many, and the world that surrounds us. The Lord governs all, but remains beyond all. Each soul carries its own nature and destiny. Liberation comes not through becoming God, but through pure devotion to the Supreme. Madhva declared, serve the Lord with complete surrender. Know Him as the ruler of all existence. Love Him as the source of all grace. In this loving service, the soul finds its highest purpose. The devotee and the beloved remain forever distinct, yet bound by love that knows no end. The sage Ramanuja offered different wisdom. He taught, reality is one divine being with many forms within it. Brahman exists as the inner soul of all souls and all things. Individual souls and the world are real, not mere illusion. Yet they depend completely on the divine being for their existence. Like the body needs the soul to live, all souls need Brahman to exist. The Supreme is both the material and efficient cause of everything. Nothing exists apart from this divine reality, yet everything maintains its own distinct nature within the whole. Ramanuja said, the soul is real and eternal. It possesses true consciousness and will, but it cannot exist without the Supreme Soul who dwells within it. Liberation comes when the soul recognizes its complete dependence on God and surrenders in perfect devotion. In this view, diversity and unity dance together. The Supreme contains infinite variety within perfect oneness. Each soul maintains its individual nature while serving the divine purpose. The liberated soul enjoys eternal fellowship with God while remaining forever distinct. Both teachers honored devotion above knowledge alone. They taught that love and surrender lead the soul to truth more surely than intellectual understanding. Through worship, prayer, and service, the soul approaches the divine presence. These paths show that reality includes relationship. God and soul exist in eternal connection. This connection gives meaning to existence and purpose to spiritual life. Liberation becomes not the end of individuality, but its perfect fulfillment in divine love. Part 3. Samkhya and Yoga, two realities of Purusha and Prakriti. The ancient wisdom teaches us about two great realities that exist forever. These are called Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is pure spirit or consciousness. It never changes and never acts. Prakriti is matter or nature. It is always moving and changing. These two realities are completely different from each other. Purusha is like a witness who only watches. Prakriti is like a dancer who performs for the witness. Neither can exist without the other, yet they remain forever separate. From the union of Purusha and Prakriti, the entire world comes into being. This happens through 25 principles called tattvas. First comes cosmic intelligence, then individual ego, then mind. After this come the 5 senses, 5 organs of action, and 5 subtle elements. Finally appear the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. All suffering comes from forgetting the difference between Purusha and Prakriti. The soul wrongly identifies itself with the body, mind, and senses. This creates bondage and pain. The soul thinks it acts, enjoys, and suffers. But the true self, Purusha, only watches. The path of yoga teaches how to separate these two realities clearly. Through discipline of body and breath, the mind becomes calm. Through concentration and meditation, the soul sees its true nature. 8 steps lead to this freedom: right conduct, purity, postures, breath control, withdrawal of senses, concentration, meditation, and final absorption. When the soul realizes it is pure Purusha, liberation comes immediately. It sees that it never really acted or suffered. All actions belong to Prakriti alone. The soul stands free, like space that remains untouched by clouds passing through it. This knowledge destroys ignorance forever. The liberated soul lives in the world, but remains unaffected by pleasure and pain. It sees all beings as manifestations of the same Prakriti, witnessed by the same eternal Purusha. The wise understand that consciousness and matter dance together eternally. Neither can be destroyed or created. They simply transform according to divine law. Through proper knowledge and practice, every soul can realize its true nature as pure consciousness, forever free from the changes of material nature. Part 4. Nyaya and Vaisheshika, Logical and Atomic Reality. In the beginning, 4 great minds arose to teach the world about truth through reason and careful study. These were the masters of Nyaya and Vaisheshika, who said that reality can be known through proper thinking and observation. The teacher Gautama spoke first about Nyaya, the way of logic. He taught that knowledge comes through 4 paths. First is direct perception through the senses. When you see fire or taste honey, this is true knowledge. Second is inference, when you see smoke and no fire burns nearby. Third is comparison, when you recognize a wild cow because it resembles the village cow. Fourth is reliable testimony from those who speak truth. Gautama said that suffering comes from wrong knowledge. When we mistake a rope for a snake in darkness, fear arises. But when we see clearly with a lamp, the fear disappears. The same way, when we gain right knowledge about the world and the soul, all suffering ends. The soul exists beyond the body. It is the knower, the one who experiences. The soul uses the mind like a tool to gain knowledge through the senses. When the soul gains perfect knowledge about itself and reality, it becomes free from birth and death. The teacher Kannada taught about Vaisheshika, the knowledge of categories. He said all reality can be understood through 6 basic categories. First is substance, like earth, water, fire, air, space, time, direction, soul, and mind. These form the foundation of everything. Second is quality, which belongs to substance. Color belongs to earth, taste to water, heat to fire. Without substance, quality cannot exist. Third is action, which causes change. All movement and transformation happens through action. Fourth is universal, the common nature shared by things. All cows share cowness. All trees share treeness. Fifth is particular, which makes each thing different from others. This cow differs from that cow through its particular nature. Sixth is inherence, the relation that binds things together. Color stays in the cloth, knowledge stays in the soul through inherence. Kannada taught that the world is made of atoms. These are the smallest parts that cannot be divided further. Atoms of earth, water, fire, and air combine to create all things we see. Two atoms join to make a pair. Three pairs make a triad. And from these all objects form. These atoms are eternal. They cannot be created or destroyed. But they separate and combine in endless ways, creating the world's constant changes. When death comes, the body's atoms scatter. At creation's beginning, they gather again to form new bodies. The soul is also eternal and atomic in size. It spreads its influence throughout the body like a lamp lighting a room. Each soul carries its actions from past lives. Good actions bring joy. Bad actions bring sorrow. This is the law that governs all existence. Knowledge removes ignorance about the soul's true nature. The soul realizes it is separate from the body and mind. It understands that pleasure and pain belong to the body, not to the eternal self. Through this understanding, the soul becomes free from attachment and reaches liberation. The followers of Nyaya and Vaisheshika worked together. Nyaya provided the tools of logic to examine reality. Vaisheshika provided the categories to organize knowledge. Together, they showed that the world is real, orderly, and knowable through careful study. They taught that both matter and souls exist truly. The world is not an illusion, but a real place where souls learn and grow. Through proper knowledge gained by valid means, every soul can discover its eternal nature and find lasting peace. Chapter 5. The Living Reality in Hindu Practice. Part 1. Reality through Bhakti. Love as direct experience. Arjuna asked Krishna, "My Lord, how can I know the truth of reality? My mind is filled with doubt and confusion. Show me the path to understanding what is real." Krishna replied, "My beloved friend, listen carefully. The highest reality is not found only through books or thinking. Reality lives in love. When your heart opens to me with pure devotion, you touch the eternal truth directly. Those who love me with their whole being see me everywhere. They see me in the morning sun, in the faces of all people, in their own hearts. This love is not just feeling, it is the way to experience what is truly real." The learned scholars study many texts. They debate and argue about the nature of truth. But the simple devotee who calls my name with love knows me more directly than all their words can teach. A mother who sings my songs while cooking, a farmer who remembers me while working in the fields, a child who prays before sleep. These souls touch reality through their hearts. When you surrender to me completely, you do not lose yourself. You find your true self. Your ego dissolves like salt in water, and what remains is pure love. In this love, the barrier between you and me disappears. You realize that we were never separate. Do not think that devotion is for the weak or ignorant. The greatest saints and sages have found truth through love. Their hearts became temples where I dwell constantly. They saw through the veil of appearances and recognized my presence in everything. Some seek reality through knowledge, others through meditation. But love is the shortest path. When your heart burns with longing for me, that fire purifies everything. Your desires transform. Your fears vanish. You begin to see with my eyes. Reality is not cold or distant. Reality is warm and alive. It breathes with compassion. It moves with grace. When you love truly, you participate in this divine nature. You become real yourself. Remember this always. I am closer to you than your own breath. When you call to me with love, I respond immediately. Your devotion creates a bridge between the human and divine. Walking on this bridge of love, you cross from illusion to truth, from separation to unity. Therefore, worship me not from fear but from love. Serve others as forms of myself. See my light shining in all beings. This is how love becomes the direct path to knowing ultimate reality. Part 2. Reality through yoga and meditation. When the devotee has opened the heart to divine love, the next step toward reality comes through the practice of yoga and meditation. The wise sages have taught that while love opens the door, disciplined practice allows the seeker to enter and dwell in truth itself. The great teacher Patanjali spoke these words about the path of yoga. When the mind becomes completely still, like the surface of a perfectly calm lake, then the true self sees its own nature clearly. This is yoga, the stopping of all mental movements that create waves on the lake of consciousness. He taught that there are 8 steps on this path. First comes right conduct toward others and right conduct toward oneself. These prepare the ground, like a farmer prepares soil for planting. Next comes the practice of sitting in a steady, comfortable position for meditation. Then the control of breath, which calms the inner winds of thought and desire. When the breath becomes steady and slow, the scriptures say, the mind naturally becomes peaceful. When the mind becomes peaceful, it no longer creates the illusions that hide reality from view. The 5th step is withdrawal of attention from the outer world. Just as a turtle draws its limbs inside its shell, the yogi draws attention away from the senses. The 6th step is concentration, fixing the mind completely on one object or idea. The 7th is meditation proper, where awareness flows steadily toward the chosen focus, like oil poured from one vessel to another. The final step is absorption, where the meditator, the act of meditation, and the object of meditation become one. In this state, all sense of separation disappears. The individual self dissolves into universal self. The drop merges with the ocean. In this highest state, the ancient texts declare, the yogi sees that Atman and Brahman are one. The individual soul recognizes itself as the universal soul. All boundaries vanish. All questions are answered without words. All seeking ends in perfect finding. This is not escape from the world, but clear seeing of what the world truly is. The practitioner does not run away from life, but sees through the veil of appearances to the eternal truth beneath all changing forms. Maya is not destroyed by meditation, the teachers explain, but is seen clearly for what it is, the creative power of Brahman appearing as multiplicity. When you know this, you can live in the world without being bound by it. Regular practice gradually transforms perception. What once seemed solid becomes transparent. What once caused suffering is seen as play of consciousness. The meditator begins to live from this deeper understanding, acting in the world while rooted in eternal truth. Part 3. Reality as Lila. The cosmic play of the divine reality is like a divine play, a performance of joy that flows from the Supreme Being. The ancient teachings speak of this as Lila, the cosmic dance where God creates not from need, but from pure delight. Just as an artist creates beauty for the simple pleasure of creation, the divine manifests the entire universe as an expression of love and joy. Every star, every breath, every heartbeat is part of this sacred theater where the Absolute plays all the roles. The scriptures tell us that Krishna dances with the cowherd girls in the meadows of Vrindavan. This is not mere story, but truth about reality itself. Krishna represents the divine self playing in creation, taking countless forms, experiencing through countless eyes, laughing through countless hearts. When Shiva dances his cosmic dance, the universe trembles with rhythm. His steps create worlds, sustain them through time, and dissolve them back into pure consciousness. This dance never stops. It is happening now, in this moment, in your own breath and blood. The wise understand that we are not trapped in an empty dream, but participating in divine celebration. Every experience, whether sweet or bitter, is movement in this eternal dance. Birth and death are entrances and exits on the cosmic stage. Joy and sorrow are different melodies in the same divine song. Rama walks through the forest in exile, demonstrating how the divine plays even in difficulty and loss. His perfect actions show that every circumstance, pleasant or challenging, is opportunity for sacred participation. The forest becomes temple, exile becomes pilgrimage, struggle becomes worship. This understanding transforms how we live. When you see life as Lila, work becomes worship. Relationships become sacred encounters. Problems become invitations to deeper participation in the divine drama. The devotee learns to play their part with full heart while knowing it is play. They love completely while understanding love itself as movement of the divine within creation. They act with dedication while seeing action as offering in the cosmic celebration. Mother Earth herself is stage for this divine theater. Mountains and rivers, animals and plants. Human beings and angels all have roles in this endless performance where God plays with God through infinite forms. This is why the scriptures say reality is neither solid matter nor empty void, but conscious celebration. The universe is not mistake to be corrected, but masterpiece to be appreciated. Life is not problem to be solved, but dance to be danced. When you understand this truth, ordinary moments become miraculous. Walking becomes sacred movement. Speaking becomes divine expression. Loving becomes participation in the cosmic play where the one appears as many for the pure joy of experience and return. Part 4. Reality as liberation. Moksha. Liberation is the highest goal of human life. It means freedom from the endless cycle of birth and death. When a person reaches this state, they no longer return to this world of suffering. This is called moksha. The wise ones say that ignorance is the root of all bondage. People think they are the body, the mind, or the feelings. They believe they are separate from God and from each other. This false knowing creates fear, desire, and pain. Liberation comes when this darkness of not knowing is removed by the light of true knowledge. What is this true knowledge? It is seeing that the soul within you is the same as the eternal spirit that fills everything. Your real self is not different from the divine source of all existence. When you know this completely, not just with the mind, but with your whole being, you become free. There are different ways to reach this freedom. Some people find it through knowledge and study of the sacred texts. They use reason and deep thinking to understand who they really are. Others find it through love and complete surrender to God. They offer every action and thought to the divine until their separate self disappears. Some reach liberation through meditation and controlling the mind. They sit quietly and turn their attention inward until they see their true nature. Others find freedom through selfless action. They work without wanting results for themselves, offering all their deeds to the Supreme. All these paths lead to the same place. They help remove the veil that hides your real identity. Whether through knowing, loving, meditating, or serving, the goal is always the same: to see that you are not separate from the eternal truth. When liberation comes, it is like waking from a dream. Everything that seemed so real and important before is seen as temporary appearance. The fears about death disappear because you know your true self was never born and can never die. The desires that once drove you lose their power because you have found the source of all happiness within yourself. This freedom is not running away from the world. It is seeing the world as it truly is. The liberated person may continue to live and work, but they are no longer bound by their actions. They see the same divine presence in all beings. They act with wisdom and compassion, but without attachment to results. Liberation is both the end of seeking and the beginning of true life. It resolves all questions and brings lasting peace. This is the promise of the sacred teachings, that every soul can return to its source and find perfect freedom in union with eternal truth. Chapter 6, Enduring Visions of Reality, Part 1, The Interwoven Perspectives of Hinduism. As the Creator spoke through the sacred texts, these words came forth to teach the nature of truth. The divine has revealed that truth is not a single path, but many rivers flowing to the same ocean. Just as the sun appears different to those who see it at dawn, at noon, and at sunset, yet remains the same sun, so does the eternal truth appear in many forms to different seekers. In the teachings of Advaita, the wise ones declare that all existence is one. The self and the divine are not separate. What appears as many is truly one reality wearing countless masks. The drop of water and the vast ocean share the same essence. When the seeker realizes this truth, all sense of separation dissolves like mist before the morning sun. Yet in the path of Dvaita, other sages teach that the divine and the individual soul remain forever distinct. The lover and the beloved, though united in devotion, do not become identical. This separation allows for the sweet joy of worship, the tender relationship between the devotee and God. The soul finds its highest happiness in serving the Supreme, maintaining its unique identity while surrendering completely. The devotional path of Bhakti reveals truth through the heart's love. Here, reality is experienced through pure devotion, where the devotee sees the divine in all forms and offers every action as worship. The reality known through love is as valid as that known through knowledge or meditation. These different paths do not fight against each other like enemies in battle. Instead, they support each other like the pillars of a great temple. Each path serves different types of seekers, just as different medicines cure different ailments. The person drawn to philosophical inquiry finds truth through Advaita. The one who delights in worship discovers reality through devotional service. The seeker who values relationship cherishes the dual path. The ancient scriptures declare that truth is vast beyond measure. Just as the blind men touching different parts of an elephant each perceive something real yet partial, so do different spiritual paths reveal genuine aspects of the infinite reality. What seems like contradiction to the limited mind becomes harmony when seen from the highest viewpoint. This acceptance of multiple truths does not create confusion, but enriches understanding. Like a diamond with many faces, each reflecting light differently, yet belonging to the same precious stone, reality appears in various forms to guide different souls according to their nature and capacity. The sacred tradition teaches that the ultimate truth is large enough to contain all sincere approaches to it. The divine has made the path wide enough for all seekers to find their way home. Part 2. Consciousness as the ground of reality. Consciousness as the ground of reality. The sacred teachings speak clearly about what lies at the heart of all existence. Consciousness is not something that comes from matter. Consciousness is the ground from which all things arise. The ancient sages saw this truth through deep practice and direct knowing. In the Upanishads, the wise ones declare that pure awareness exists before all names and forms. This awareness, called Chaitanya, is the unchanging witness behind all changing experiences. It is not produced by the brain or body. Rather, the brain and body appear within its light. The Vedanta tradition teaches that what we call the world is consciousness appearing as many forms. Just as waves are not separate from the ocean, all objects and beings are not separate from the one awareness. The sage Śaṅkara explained that Brahman, the ultimate reality, is pure consciousness without limits or divisions. When we look at our own experience, we find this truth. In deep sleep, when thoughts and sensations disappear, something remains aware. This same awareness is present in waking and dreaming states. It never changes, never comes or goes. This is our true nature. The yoga tradition also points to consciousness as the foundation. The great sage Patanjali described how the mind creates the appearance of separation between the seer and the seen. Through practice, the yogi discovers that the seer is pure consciousness itself, never touched by what it observes. Unlike many modern views that try to explain awareness through matter and energy, the Hindu vision sees matter and energy as modifications of consciousness. The physical world appears real because consciousness lends it reality. When consciousness withdraws, as in deep sleep, the world disappears from experience. This understanding has profound meaning for how we live. If consciousness is our true essence, then finding peace and truth means recognizing this awareness within ourselves. We do not need to create or achieve consciousness. We need only to stop identifying with thoughts, emotions, and sensations that pass through awareness like clouds through the sky. The sacred texts remind us that this consciousness is not personal or limited. It is the same in all beings. The light of awareness that shines in you is the same light that shines in every creature. This truth forms the basis for seeing all life as sacred and connected. Modern thinkers continue to explore how consciousness relates to the physical sciences. Yet the ancient seers already knew that awareness cannot be reduced to brain chemistry or neural activity. Consciousness is the field in which all experiences arise and dissolve. It remains the great mystery that science has yet to fully address. Part 3. Modern Hindu Thinkers and Reality. Modern Hindu Thinkers and Reality. The great teachings about consciousness and reality did not remain locked in ancient texts. When India encountered the modern world, wise teachers arose who showed how eternal truths could speak to new times. These modern sages took the wisdom of the past and made it alive for people facing new questions about science, society, and human purpose. Swami Vivekananda stood before the world and declared that the ancient truth of Advaita was not outdated superstition, but living wisdom. He taught that the same consciousness the Upanishads described was what scientists were beginning to study in their laboratories. The awareness that exists in every being was not separate from the energy and matter that science examined. Vivekananda showed that when Vedanta speaks of one reality appearing as many forms, this matches what scientists were discovering about the unity beneath apparent differences in nature. He brought the message that every soul is divine. This was not mere philosophy, but practical truth. When people realize their true nature as consciousness itself, they gain strength and freedom. Vivekananda taught that religion should make people strong, not weak. The reality that Advaita describes gives each person unlimited potential because their deepest self is one with the infinite. Sri Aurobindo looked at reality as movement and growth. He saw that consciousness was not static, but always evolving toward greater perfection. The divine reality was not separate from the world, but was working through evolution to express itself more fully. Matter evolves into life. Life evolves into mind. And mind evolves towards something higher still. This evolutionary view showed that reality includes both the eternal and the changing, both the perfect source and the growing expression. Aurobindo taught that human beings stand at a crucial point in this evolution. They can choose to grow beyond ordinary mind toward what he called the supramental consciousness. This is not escape from the world, but fulfillment of what the world is becoming. Reality for Aurobindo was not just being, but becoming, not just truth, but truth expressing itself through time and space. Mahatma Gandhi found reality in the simple word truth, which he called Satya. For Gandhi, truth was not an abstract idea, but a living force that could be practiced in daily life. He said, "God is truth," or even truth is God. This meant that reality itself has moral character. When people align their actions with truth, they connect with the deepest power in existence. Gandhi proved that truth and nonviolence work together. Violence comes from seeing others as separate from oneself, But when people recognize the same reality in all beings, they cannot harm others without harming themselves. Gandhi's life showed that ancient spiritual wisdom could transform politics and society. The reality the sages described was not just for meditation, but for building a better world. These modern teachers prove that Hindu insights about reality remain vital. They spoke to people struggling with materialism, colonialism, and social injustice. They showed that consciousness-based understanding of reality offers practical solutions to human problems. Their work continues to inspire those who seek truth in our contemporary world. Part 4. Eternal Truth and the Human Quest. From the earliest times, the wise ones of India have sung that truth cannot be caught in words alone. The Rigveda tells us that reality is one, but the learned ones call it by many names. This ancient teaching shows us that truth is bigger than any single way of thinking about it. The sages did not give us final answers that could never be questioned. Instead, they gave us paths to walk and methods to discover truth for ourselves. They said that each person must seek and find reality through their own experience. The sacred texts are guides, not chains that bind our understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna that there are many ways to reach the same goal. Some people find truth through knowledge, others through devotion, and still others through right action. Each path leads to the same eternal reality, but people walk different roads based on their nature and understanding. The Upanishads speak of truth as something that must be experienced, not just believed. They use the word aparoksha, which means direct knowledge that comes from seeing for oneself. This is different from paroksha, which is indirect knowledge that comes from hearing others speak about truth. The ancient teachers knew that reality cannot be frozen into fixed rules. They understood that truth is alive and grows as human consciousness grows. What seems true at one level of understanding becomes deeper and richer as we develop spiritually. The same truth that appears simple to a beginner reveals greater complexity to the advanced seeker. This is why Hindu tradition encourages questioning and inquiry. The Upanishads are full of students asking their teachers difficult questions about the nature of reality. The teachers do not silence these questions, but welcome them as signs of sincere seeking. They know that doubt and inquiry, when sincere, lead to stronger faith and clearer understanding. The word satyam means truth, but it comes from the root sat, which means existence or being. This shows that truth is not separate from life itself. Truth is not something we think about from the outside, but something we live from the inside. We discover reality by becoming more real ourselves. Each generation of seekers must find truth anew in their own experience. The ancient wisdom remains fresh because it points to something eternal that lives within human consciousness itself. The methods may be old, but the discovery is always new because each person must make it for themselves. This eternal truth calls to something deep within every human heart. It promises that behind all the confusion and suffering of life lies a reality that is pure, eternal, and full of peace. This promise keeps alive the human quest for meaning and drives us to look beyond surface appearances to find what is truly real and lasting.